I never thought I'd be sharing this, but here goes. I'm Daniel, 38, and for the last decade I've been running the family business. Sounds great, right? Except my younger sister, Bethany, basically rules the roost. Since Dad died, it's been her and Mom against, well, me. They live this crazy lavish lifestyle off the company's profits and some real estate, and I'm just there, invisible. I swear, sometimes I think they forget I exist. It was always like this. Bethany could do no wrong, but what happened at Thanksgiving? I still can't believe it. The turkey was barely carved when Bethany, mid-sip of champagne, announced, "We've decided you're no longer part of this family." The words hung in the air, thick and sickening. My stomach dropped to my knees. I looked around the table. Mom was smiling, a tight, knowing smile. My two younger brothers were nodding like this was perfectly normal. Then the room erupted in cheers, cheers for my disownment. A cold wave washed over me. What are you talking about?" I managed to choke out. Bethany waved a dismissive hand. "Don't be dramatic, Daniel. You're making a big deal out of nothing. It's just you don't really fit in anymore." Mom chimed in, her voice sickeningly sweet. "Darling, it's for the best. You need to think about what's best for the family." "Best for the family? I've been running the business for years. What about what's best for me?" My hands trembled so badly I had to grip the edge of the table. Bethany rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. After everything we've done for you, Daniel, we let you live in the guest house rent-free. This isn't about you. Guest house. That dump was practically falling apart. And rent-free. I poured every ounce of my being into keeping the business afloat so they could live like royalty. What had I done wrong? Was I really so awful? My chest tightened until I could barely breathe. I felt like I was suffocating, trapped in some bizarre, twisted version of my own life. This wasn't a family. It was a meticulously crafted performance, and I was no longer playing the part they wanted. I was always the outsider. Always the forgotten one. The realization hit me, a dull, sickening thud. This wasn't new, it was a pattern, and suddenly the wound, deep and raw, began to bleed. I pushed back my chair, the scrape against the hardwood echoing in the sudden silence. "Fine," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "If that's how you feel." I reached into my briefcase and pulled out a thick file. "Here," I said, handing it to Bethany. "Everything's in order. Accounts, contracts, projections, I'm done." She snatched the file, a smug look on her face. "Finally," she muttered. I turned and walked towards the door, my back prickling with their collective gaze. I had to get out. I almost made it. Then Bethany screamed. A high-pitched, ear-splitting shriek that stopped me dead. I turned back to see her standing there, the file clutched in her hand, her face contorted with rage. "You did what?" she screeched, her voice cracking. Mom rushed to her side, peering at the documents. Her face paled. "Daniel, what have you done?" My heart pounded like a drum against my ribs. I hadn't anticipated this reaction. "Just read it," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "It's all there." "Don't play coy with me," Bethany shrieked, advancing towards me. "You think you're so clever, don't you? You think you can just waltz out of here and leave us with this mess?" "Mess," I repeated, incredulous. "I've been running that business for years. It's not a mess because of me." "Oh, here we go with the victim complex," Mom said, rolling her eyes. "Always the martyr, aren't you, Daniel? Victim complex. I'm the one being disowned at Thanksgiving dinner." My voice rose despite my best efforts. "Don't you dare raise your voice to your mother," Bethany snapped. "We've always been so good to you." "Good." The heat of humiliation burned in my face. "Good. You've used me. You've taken everything I've given and treated me like I'm nothing." "That's not true," Mom protested, but her voice lacked conviction. "We're family. We support each other." "Support? You call this support?" I gestured around the room, the grand dining room, the opulent decorations. "This is a gilded cage, and I'm finally breaking free." "You'll regret this, Daniel," Bethany hissed, her eyes narrowed. "You'll come crawling back." Maybe she was right. Maybe I would regret it. Doubt gnawed at me, a familiar ache. Had I overreacted? Was I being selfish? My throat closed up, words trapped inside. I just wanted to disappear. I turned and walked out, leaving them standing there, their faces masks of fury and disbelief. I didn't say another word. I am done. A week later, my phone buzzed incessantly. It was Mom, again. I ignored it, the guilt a dull throb behind my eyes. Finally, a text. "Daniel, your grandmother's birthday dinner. 6 p.m., the usual place. Don't embarrass us. Embarrass them. What about the Thanksgiving fiasco? Why was I still putting up with this? I debated turning off my phone, disappearing entirely. But Grandma, she was the only one who ever seemed to see me, the real me, not just the worker bee. The restaurant was predictably ostentatious. Bethany, of course, was already there, draped in something that probably cost more than my car. She greeted me with a saccharine smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Daniel, so glad you could make it." She air-kissed my cheek, careful not to smudge her makeup. "We were all so worried about you," worried, or annoyed that I disrupted their carefully constructed reality. Mom swept in, her face a mask of practiced serenity. "Daniel, darling, you look tired. Are you eating properly?" I mumbled a greeting, acutely aware of the other diners turning to stare. Grandma beamed, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "Daniel, my dear, come give your old grandma a hug." Her hug was warm, genuine, a fleeting moment of normalcy in a sea of manufactured smiles. The dinner progressed with excruciating slowness. My brothers, usually indifferent, were suddenly chatty, peppering me with questions about the business, thinly veiled accusations of incompetence. "So, Bethany's handling things now?" Mark asked, a smirk playing on his lips. "Big shoes to fill, eh?" Bethany preened. "It's a lot of work, but someone has to do it." Mom steered the conversation towards childhood memories, carefully curated to paint a picture of a happy, functional family. "Remember that camping trip, Daniel? You were so scared of the dark," she chuckled, a brittle, hollow sound. A tension headache began to pound behind my eyes. I remembered that camping trip. I was scared because my flashlight had died and Bethany had deliberately wandered off, leaving me alone in the woods. "It's so important to cherish these moments," Mom continued, her voice thick with sentimentality. "Family is all we have." The hypocrisy was suffocating. Bethany chimed in. "Speaking of family, Daniel, we've been meaning to ask about the guest house. We have some friends coming to town and we were hoping you wouldn't mind moving out," Mom finished, her tone deceptively gentle. "Just for a few weeks. We'd really appreciate it, darling." The guest house. The place I'd poured my heart and soul into making a home. They wanted it back. Of course they did. My stomach churned. I wanted to scream, to lash out, to expose their lies for what they were. But I didn't. "I'll see what I can do," I said, my voice flat. "Oh, Daniel, you're the best," Bethany gushed, squeezing my arm a little too tightly. "We knew we could count on you." The evening dragged on, a relentless barrage of manipulation and thinly veiled insults. I felt like a puppet forced to dance to their tune. Finally, Grandma spoke up, her voice surprisingly sharp. "Daniel looks tired, let him be." I seized the opportunity. "Actually, Grandma's right. I have an early start tomorrow." "But Daniel, we haven't even cut the cake yet," Bethany protested, her voice laced with annoyance. "I'll grab a slice to go," I said, standing up. "Happy birthday, Grandma." I kissed her cheek, ignoring the glares from Mom and Bethany. As I walked towards the exit, I heard Bethany whisper something to Mom. I didn't need to hear the words to know they were about me. But for the first time, their opinions didn't sting quite as much. I had set a small boundary. I had left early. And that, I realized, was a start. Weeks passed. I avoided family gatherings, ignored calls. The silence was deafening but strangely liberating. Doubt still lingered, a persistent hum beneath the surface, but it was slowly being drowned out by something else, a fragile sense of self-preservation. I started working late, throwing myself into tasks I'd neglected, things I actually enjoyed. One evening, Sarah, my accountant and honestly the closest thing I had to a friend, caught me burning the midnight oil. She poked her head into my office, her brow furrowed. "Daniel, you okay? You've been here for hours." She gestured to the takeout containers stacked precariously on my desk. "Again," I sighed, rubbing my tired eyes. "Just trying to catch up." "Catch up from what? Thanksgiving. You've been different since then." "Distant." She hesitated. "Is everything all right with your family?" I stiffened. "Family's family," I shrugged, trying to dismiss it. "You know how it is." Sarah didn't buy it. She pulled up a chair, her expression serious. "No, Daniel, I don't know how it is. And frankly, I've seen how they treat you. It's not normal." I shifted uncomfortably. "It's complicated." I started shuffling papers, avoiding her gaze. They just have a certain way of doing things. A certain way of dismissing your contributions, taking advantage of your generosity, and making you feel like you're constantly falling short. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Because if that's their certain way, it sounds a lot like emotional abuse. I recoiled. Whoa, hold on. That's a bit extreme, isn't it? They're still my family. Family doesn't get a free pass to treat you like crap, Daniel. You're a good person, a hard worker. You deserve better. She paused, her voice softening. Look, I've been handling your family's finances for years. I've seen the way Bethany spends money, the way your mother manipulates situations. They're not exactly saints. I know, I mumbled, the words barely audible. It's always been like this. Bethany gets everything. I get the work. I finally met her eyes, a flicker of pain in their depths. Like when I got a B+ on a test in high school. My parents said I let the family down. It was just one B+. Sarah's jaw dropped. That's actually not normal family behavior, Daniel. A B+ is a good grade. And to make you feel like you let the family down over that, that's insane. I fiddled with a pen, the weight of her words settling on me. I don't know, maybe I'm just too sensitive. Sensitive? Or are you just used to being treated poorly? Think about it, Daniel. Bethany's announcement at Thanksgiving, that was cruel, plain and simple. And the way they reacted when you handed over that file. They were angry because you disrupted their gravy train. You realize that's manipulative, right? They're using you, and they've been using you for years. I swallowed hard, a lump forming in my throat. But they're my family, I love them. Love shouldn't hurt like this, Daniel. If anyone else treated you that way, would you accept it? Would you let a friend or a coworker constantly belittle you, take advantage of you, and make you feel worthless? The truth hit me like a punch to the gut. No, I whispered. I wouldn't. Exactly. So why are you letting your family do it? You deserve to be treated with basic respect, Daniel. You deserve to be valued. And you certainly don't deserve to be disowned at Thanksgiving. Sarah reached across the desk and gently squeezed my hand. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel betrayed. And it's definitely okay to walk away from a toxic situation, even if it's your family. A wave of exhaustion washed over me, but beneath it something else was stirring, a flicker of defiance. What do I do? I asked, my voice hoarse. Sarah smiled, a genuine, encouraging smile. That's up to you, Daniel, but whatever you do, do it for yourself. Start putting yourself first. You've spent your whole life trying to please them, and where has it gotten you? Miserable. It's time to prioritize your own happiness. I stared at her, a dawning realization spreading through me. She was right. I had been so focused on seeking their approval, on earning their love, that I had completely lost sight of my own worth. I had allowed them to define me, to control me, and I was done. I think you're right, I said, my voice gaining strength. I'm done. The words felt strange, foreign, but also liberating. The bridge to action was now clear. Then the invitation arrived. A lavish wedding announcement, Bethany, to some polo-playing trust fund baby. But it was Bethany's impending nuptials that made my blood run cold. Tucked inside a smaller, embossed card, the wedding of Bethany Hayes and Mr. Chad Thunderton, followed by the marriage of Mrs. Eleanor Hayes to Mr. Richard Worthington. Mom, remarried, a stranger, without a word. A wave of nausea crashed over me. The air in the room seemed to thicken, pressing down on me, stealing my breath. My hands trembled so violently that I dropped the invitation, the crisp paper fluttering to the floor like a fallen leaf. But that wasn't the worst of it. I picked up the card, my fingers clumsy, and read the small print at the bottom, trust management to be handled by Bethany Hayes Worthington. Worthington. The name echoed in my head. Bethany. In charge. Of everything, it was a calculated move. A final, brutal power play. A vice tightened around my chest, squeezing the air from my lungs. Years of resentment, of feeling overlooked, of being used, coalesced into a single, searing point of rage. I had always been the safety net, always the one they could count on, always. They had taken everything, my time, my energy, my life. And now this blatant disregard, this absolute betrayal. A low growl rumbled in my throat, a sound I barely recognized as my own. Something snapped. The years of suppressed anger, the decades of silent suffering, the lifetime of feeling invisible, it all shattered. A sudden, icy calm washed over me. The anxiety that had plagued me for so long vanished, replaced by a steely resolve. My shoulders straightened, my spine aligned. I stood taller. My hands stopped shaking. My voice, when I finally spoke, was steady, unwavering. Enough. I wasn't hurt anymore. I was done. They thought I would crawl back. They were wrong, dead wrong. I would not be dismissed. I would not be ignored. I will not be stepped on. They had underestimated me. They thought me weak. They thought I would always play their game. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The relief was immense. The anticipation of the coming storm intoxicating. I know what I have to do. I have a meeting to schedule. The law office felt sterile, all chrome and glass. I reviewed the documents, trust agreements, transfer records, corporate filings, each page a brick in the wall I was building. Could they really have done this? Yes. Bethany craved control. Mom wanted security. The brothers just wanted to party. My lawyer, Mr. Davies, cleared his throat. Are you certain, Daniel? This is drastic. Certain, I affirmed. They left me no choice. Evidence stacked. Emails printed. The Thanksgiving recording transcribed. Sarah's affidavit detailing years of financial manipulation. My therapist helped me prepare responses to their likely attacks. They'll gaslight you, Daniel. Remind yourself of the facts. They'll cry. They'll make me feel guilty, I replied. That's right, she said. Recognize the pattern. Don't engage. My financial advisor helped me reorganize my personal holdings. Protect yourself first, Daniel. You've earned it. Secured, bank accounts transferred, new address established, contingency plans in place, corporate meetings scheduled. What will Mom say? Will she cry? Will she accuse me of being ungrateful? Will Bethany scream? Will my brothers even understand? Sarah walked in. Hey, she said softly. Ready? Almost, I replied. Remember, Sarah said, you are doing this for you to reclaim your life. I know, I said. They might say terrible things, Daniel, Sarah continued. They will try to make you feel like the bad guy. I have to do it, I said. I can't live like this. I know you can, she said. I'm here for you. She handed me a glass of water. I took a deep breath. This was it. The office building loomed, a monument to the family's greed. Stay calm, state the facts. Don't engage, breathe. I deserve this, I am worth this. Keys in hand, I entered the building, no turning back. The conference room was the same oppressive beige as always. Bethany, Mom, Mark, and Tom sat around the mahogany table, faces etched with a mixture of annoyance and curiosity. The air crackled with unspoken tension. Initial atmosphere. Dismissive, they thought I was there to beg. Daniel, Mom began, her voice dripping with false concern. What's this about? You know we're all very busy, Bethany scoffed. Probably wants his allowance back. My brothers snickered. I placed my briefcase on the table, the thud echoing in the suddenly silent room. This isn't a family meeting, I said, my voice calm and steady. It's a corporate meeting. I opened the briefcase and withdrew a thick stack of documents. Please, everyone, have a seat. Bethany glared at me. What is this nonsense? Formal notification, I continued, ignoring her outburst. Effective immediately, I am initiating a restructuring of the Hayes family trust. Mom's eyes narrowed. Restructuring? What are you talking about, Daniel? I distributed the documents, my gaze sweeping across their stunned faces. As you can see, I've transferred the entirety of the trust's assets into a newly established charitable foundation. Silence. Then Bethany screamed, again. You what? She shrieked, her face contorting with rage. You can't do that, that's my money. Our money, Mom corrected weakly, her face paling. I remained impassive. Actually, legally, it was the trust's money. And now it belongs to various charities dedicated to underprivileged children. Mark spluttered. Are you insane? How are we supposed to live? Tom just stared, mouth agape. Bethany slammed her fist on the table, rattling the water glasses. You did this on purpose. You're trying to ruin us. Those tactics don't work on me anymore, Bethany. I looked her straight in the eyes. This isn't about ruining you. It's about reclaiming my life and preventing you from further exploiting a system built on my hard work. Exploiting? I deserve this, she shrieked. I'm the one who carries on Dad's legacy. Legacy? I raised an eyebrow. Or just a lavish lifestyle funded by someone else's efforts? Mom's voice trembled. Daniel, how could you do this to your own family after everything we've done for you? Everything, I scoffed. You mean enabling Bethany's spending habits while I ran the business into the ground? That's not family, that's exploitation. I paused and looked at my mother. You never loved me, you wanted Bethany to succeed. That is a lie, she shouted. Is it? You have always favored Bethany over me. It's the truth, Mom. Why couldn't you see me? Bethany's eyes narrowed. You're just jealous because I'm successful and you're a failure. Successful. You wouldn't know a hard day's work if it hit you in the face. Your success is built on my back, Bethany, and that stops now. I looked at my mother again. I'm done sacrificing my well-being for your comfort. Mom dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. This is all your fault, Bethany. You pushed him too far. Bethany rounded on her mother. My fault? You're the one who always coddled him. You made him weak. My brothers watched the spectacle unfold, their faces a mixture of horror and fascination. Enough! I slammed my hand on the table, silencing their bickering. This isn't about blame, it's about control, and you've lost it. I stood up, gathering my documents. The details are all in the paperwork. I suggest you consult with your lawyers. Bethany lunged at me, her nails extended. I'll kill you. Mark and Tom grabbed her, restraining her flailing arms. Get out, Bethany screamed. Get out of my life. Mom started to cry, a pathetic, whimpering sound. Daniel, please don't do this. We're family. I looked at her, my expression devoid of emotion. Family is earned, Mom, not inherited. I paused at the door, looking back at their devastated faces. This ends now. I'm not asking, I'm telling you. I turned and walked out of the room, leaving them to pick up the pieces of their shattered empire. I reclaimed my power. The weight of their expectations lifted from my shoulders. Finally, I'm free. I walked to my car, got in and started the engine. I took one last look at the building, the Hayes family building. No more. I am done. My hands trembled as I walked out of the building. A wave of dizziness washed over me, and I leaned against the cool stone of the exterior wall, gasping for air. It was over. I had done it. The words echoed in my mind, a hollow victory. I felt numb, drained. The adrenaline that had fueled me during the confrontation began to dissipate, leaving behind a profound sense of exhaustion. My muscles ached, my head throbbed, and my stomach churned. I needed to get out of here, away from the suffocating presence of my family. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror, seeing the building shrink in the distance. A single tear traced a path down my cheek. What have I done? I pulled over to the side of the road, the enormity of my actions crashing down on me. I had severed ties with my family, perhaps irrevocably. Was I a monster? Had I gone too far? The questions swirled in my mind, a chaotic torrent of doubt and fear. I closed my eyes, focusing on my breath, trying to regain control. Sarah is right. They were using me. I needed to protect myself. I started the car and drove to my new apartment. I walked into the empty space and lay down on the floor. Exhausted, I closed my eyes and fell asleep. 6 weeks have passed since that day. Bethany's lifestyle has indeed collapsed. The polo-playing fiancé left when the money dried up. She was forced to sell her condo, a humiliating experience she blames entirely on me. Her calls are relentless, a barrage of insults and threats that I now block without a second thought. Mom still tries to contact me, her messages a mix of guilt trips and desperate pleas for reconciliation. She claims Bethany is inconsolable, that the brothers are struggling, that I've ruined everything. But her words no longer hold the same power. I recognize them for what they are, attempts to manipulate me back into their orbit. I respond with polite but firm boundaries, reminding her that I need space, that I'm focusing on my own well-being. She doesn't understand. She may never understand. I heard from an aunt that Mom and the brothers had to move into a smaller house. My aunt seemed to pity them, but I could see the surprise in her eyes when I didn't. My brothers have tried to reach out. Tom, surprisingly, was the most sincere. He admitted that he never understood the extent of Bethany's control, that he'd always relied on her to take care of him. He asked if there was any way to salvage the situation. I told him that he needed to stand on his own 2 feet, that I couldn't fix his problems for him. He seemed lost, confused. I sent him Sarah's contact information. Mark hasn't tried to talk to me, but I saw him arguing with Bethany at the grocery store. My accountant, Sarah, has been my rock. She helped me navigate the legal complexities of the trust transfer, shielding me from the fallout. She also introduced me to a support group for people who have experienced family estrangement. It's been a lifeline, a safe space to share my experiences without judgment. I've started volunteering at a local soup kitchen, finding purpose in helping others. I've reconnected with old friends, people who value me for who I am, not for what I can provide. I've even started taking pottery classes, something I've always wanted to do. It's not perfect. There are still moments of doubt, of sadness, of longing for the family I wish I had. The holidays are particularly difficult, a stark reminder of what I've lost. I do have dreams where I am back at my old house, but overall, I feel a sense of peace I haven't experienced in years. I'm building a life on my own terms, free from the toxic patterns that had defined me for so long. I learned my worth. I learned to prioritize my own well-being. I learned that family isn't always blood, that it can be found in the people who support and uplift you. I still struggle with guilt. Did I do the right thing? Was there another way? Should I have tried harder to salvage the relationship? If you've been through something similar, I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you cope with the guilt and the lingering sense of loss? How do you navigate the complexities of family estrangement? And how do you create a new definition of family for yourself?